Hello, and welcome to the Code Zone. We are back. We weren't here last week because Holly and I had lots and lots to do, so we didn't get a chance to stream. How you doing today, Holly?
I'm alright, thank you. In fact, I'm fabulous.
Excellent,
Because we've
excellent.
got loads of good games.
Indeed, yeah, we've got 2 weeks worth of games to look at. 2 weeks worth of projects. Plenty to look at. Yeah, so awesome. Let's get cracking because there's too many games we want to look at. Let's not dawdle. Turret Defender was last week's game.
It was. I found out that actually this is a tower defense type game. I didn't find that out. We already knew that. But I didn't think many kids would play. I hadn't seen many tower defenses in popular culture, but it turns out they're very big in the mobile space and very big in the robot space. So a lot of kids were being reminded of things like Bloons TD and various robots games they've played. They really got into it.
Tower defense games were always massive on Miniclip as well.
Yeah, like they used to be flash games, didn't they?
Yep. I was never... Honestly, I'm not a massive fan of tower defense games personally. I like a lot of strategy games. This is a subgenre of strategy games that I'm not a big fan of, personally. But I had a lot of fun building this one and making this as a project. And I had a lot of fun seeing all the hacks that people did to this. Because it's one that's definitely... There's a level of tech... It's quite fairly technical one. You know, it's a bit like in Bake Off when you have the technical challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a technical project, and also there is definitely, as you said, there's strategy involved. So it's a real thrill when you do get kind of, oh, okay, this is how I can make the game more fun by really thinking.
Yeah.
So that was really fun to see kids like cotton onto that. It was great.
For sure.
Yeah, this is how the game plays.
Yep. So you place down your turrets, and then they fire at the enemies as they're appearing, and then you get money up here, and you go on to a new round, and then you place things down. It's like balancing strategy games is always one of those really interesting things because that's the inherent complexity. That's the inherent it's just the way it makes it fun. If it's not a balanced strategy game, it's not fun. Yeah. And I'm a massive fan of strategy games and tactics games and all of those things. So it's they can be so fun if you get them right, but if you don't, really annoying.
It takes time and a lot of fiddling.
Exactly. It is a lot of tweaking and things like that.
This week.
Yeah, exactly. So, in particular, I saw a really good one I want to have a look at. It was Matt's.
Awesome stuff.
Let's have a look. In particular, I mean, nicer end area and some redesigned turrets, as you'll see. But the thing that I really liked is the little health bars that the enemies have. There's a few balance tweaks we might need to make. It doesn't quite... Look, and the health bars go down. It's a little bit...
They go down! Oh, it's so smooth. Oh, and then they break at the end.
The health bar even breaks as well. It's got a really nice effect on it. There's a few... I think, again, there's a few balance tweaks that might need to be done in some of these games, because it is a little complicated sometimes. But look at that. It's a lovely little health bar. It breaks. I really like it. It's
very cool.
It's a really neat health bar.
Yeah. So he's changed the costume as your health goes down. Do you want to give us a little peek at the code of that, if anyone wants to add health bars to some of their enemies?
Of course. So the way we worked it out, so we actually had a little chat about this, because there was some conundrums in terms of how you need to make sure that you're checking for the collision, but that's not interfering with the walking, and then making sure the death animation is interfering with the walking, but not, and trying to work out where those 3 different components go: the movement, the collision with the projectile, and then the process of your character running out of health. Because you've got some weights going on in there, which can get everything out of sync if you don't do them correctly. So you need we put let's zoom in and have a look. We've got our projectile collision in its own separate thing, and you lose health, you swap to the next costume, and then this is, have we talked about this before, Holly, on these little ones?
I don't know if we've done it on the stream yet. It comes up a lot, doesn't it? Needing a tiny little weight.
Indeed.
Not really one that's that perceptible, but just enough to give everything in the game the chance to check if it's touching each other to let other bits of code run. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's called invincibility frames. You might have seen it in the Lego games. The Lego games are on my mind a lot at the moment because the new Lego Star Wars is coming out in a couple of months. The trailer came out a couple of days ago, like a gameplay trailer. It's coming out at the beginning of April.
that one.
And if you've ever played a Lego game, you know when you fall off something or you die and then you respawn and you're flashing for a few seconds, that's your invincibility frames. You can't die again once you can't take like damage again or die again immediately after. It's the same in something like Mario. Well, exactly. It stops. It's you have that in there just to make sure, because this projectile might hang around for 2 or 3 frames, as we call them, 2 or 3 like checks, points in time.
Yeah.
So you need that little wait there to make sure that those projectiles can't deal double damage.
Yes, while the projectile's figuring out, I need to blow up now. You don't want it to be doing damage that whole time.
Exactly. So it's to do with that little check, just to make sure you don't get double damage, and also in the case of a player, it's a little bit mean to keep on just dealing damage constantly to the player. Exactly. I must say, the Lego Star Wars game, I don't want to get too sidetracked by it. The first Lego Star Wars game was the first game I ever owned on my PlayStation 2. Lego Star Wars, the first one. So that was the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It was the first game I ever got. Got it on PlayStation 2.
That is fascinating little tidbit about you, Tom. I don't know why I thought it'd be an older game, to be honest. But yeah, it's been a while, to be fair. They've been making amazing Lego games for years. I used to have all the Harry Potter ones. They were really good. And I used to babysit a kid and played Indiana Jones Lego, and that was really good as well. So I guess they have been making them for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. There were plenty of games I'd played before that, but that was the first one I owned.
That was
exactly.
Your own gift.
All of the other ones I just played on my dad's computer.
I'm sure the new Lego Star Wars will be a few people's first games coming up now as well.
Yeah, it looks so fun. It looks so fun. We might have to stream some of it.
That'd be cool.
Just do a random little stream for a little bit
as well. I wonder if we can set co-op up. We'll discuss that.
Exactly. I just thought I just got very excited when I saw the trailer the other day, and we know when it's coming out. It's coming out around the time of my birthday, so I'm a bit excited. Anyway, don't worry. Back to projectiles. So we've got our projectile thing over here, and then we've also got. So then we decided to put. Now sometimes you might put your check health in your projectile. There's a good case to put your check health after you've lowered the health.
Yes, I think that's what I'd normally do.
Because it means that you only check your health once. Because you're not going to lose health.
Actually changing.
Exactly. You're not going to lose that. There's no point continually. A lot of the time, there's no point continually checking for your loss of health, right? Because that's not going to happen outside of being hit by a projectile or whatever, right? But we realised actually we should put it in with the movement. Because if we put this over here, the player keeps on moving even once it's died. Because we've got that the evil zone bots even keep on moving. Because they've got to wait 1 second so we can see the death animation for them. So we can see that bit there, right?
Yeah.
We need that wait 1 second. If we don't have that, we just disappears out of existence. We don't know that it's been defeated. So we have to have it in here to stop it keep on moving, because a defeated zone bot could get to the end and make you lose.
Yes, just cross the finish line with 0 health, which would be
So it was an interesting one, weaving together those 3 different parts and things like that. But it was good. It worked out nicely.
Awesome stuff. And it works. It looks great. I'm sure. I don't know if have you got another project somewhere in simulations or anything like for a health bar, Tom? Have you got one you could recommend to kids, or maybe this one needs to become a project?
I don't know if I've got a health bar one. There's a power bar, like for I don't know.
That would work.
Like a powering up mechanic, like throwing something or I don't know, snooker.
What you can power up, you can go down with as well. Yes, that makes sense. You just reorder the costumes and do minus numbers instead of positive numbers.
Indeed.
Yes, that could be helpful. Yeah.
And this sort of thing, this is different to how that power bar one works, because that works more as a big old bar that you can choose lots of levels from. But something like this, the way you do it is if you just look really closely. I can do this. I'll definitely do it as a simulation if you like. If you think that's a good one to do, Holly, I'll definitely do them. But you just do.
I like it.
Exactly. Well, then, in which case, I will do something similar where I just have little health bars above a character, and then I would also have a health variable and then we'll just swap through our costumes when the thing happens. So it'll be quite similar to this, but this is probably the best way
In
to go
some ways,
about
you
it.
could also, if you weren't making too complex a game, you could also actually just skip making health. Feasibly, you could just keep switching to the next costume, and then when you get to the last costume, if costume number equals final costume, fourth costume, something like that, then you could delete or hide or something like that, couldn't you?
You could indeed.
Yeah, that's cool.
You could indeed.
Very neat. I like that.
I think the health thing helps for debugging. Is the reason I'd personally include it.
Yeah, you can actually show the variable on screen. You can see what number health you're on, which is very helpful.
Exactly. And you might not be as brilliantly artistic as Matt in his little health bars. You know, like if it's me, I'm not great at the arty side of things. Okie dokie.
Don't say that about yourself, Tom. Let's have a look at the one.
I'll stick with the coding. It's fine. Everyone saw my SpongeBob a couple of weeks ago, so let's not, think too much about how artistically talented I am.
Sponge bread. Yeah.
Yeah, Sponge guy, Mr. Sponge. I don't know.
Mr. Sponge. Yeah. Holey Rolly.
Yeah.
Love this one.
So
I had one of those traditional Holey Rolly marble run type games with the little silver ball berry.
Hold down the fort, Holly. Hold down the fort.
Okay. I'll hold it. Hang on. Oh. It's out of control. Okay, not really. You should be. If you've got this to hand, I'm going to be very impressed. Oh, you actually do. Whoa, yours looks like a circuit board. That looks very cool.
It does, doesn't it? I have I've still never completed it. Don't tell anybody.
I need to get one then. I didn't know you could get one, so it was too hard for adults to complete.
Yeah. The less said about that, the better. So the idea is you've got to in the same way as one of these, you've got to navigate a ball around the maze without falling in the holes, and that's the aim here. I absolutely loved making this one because it's combining mazes and ball physics and all sorts of random stuff, and there's like a slowdown and
there's a nice slippery friction aspect to it that I don't know. Yes, hopefully those of you at home can see the balls a bit like, whoa. Not as easy as it looks. Perfect demonstration. Great stuff.
Excellent. And in particular, you mentioned there was a really good one that Zach did, didn't you?
Yes, I really like Zach's one. I'm hoping viewers at home will be able to spot the difference. It's subtle, but once you start playing, Tom, you'll find there's a rogue element's been introduced. I see you've honed in on the arrow already.
I was going to say that arrow looked suspicious. Yeah, I'm always suspicious of new sprites.
So what Zach's added was basically a force, almost like a wind, that works against you, and you get a little warning just as it's about to. This seems like a good start. You might be in luck here. I think when the force comes, it's not going to blow you into any holes. But he's added an element of randomness, and you've got a really tricky little gap to get through there, Tom. Oh, I can't look. Oh, you practice. Very good.
I'm better at that. Oh, hang on. Let's get there so I don't get blown.
Hang on, yeah, get somewhere safe.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Still play it against the force.
That's
as well,
so cool.
Really cool. It was doesn't it? So it's not like it doesn't take control away from you.
Yeah.
You can fight the force if you want.
There's no way I'm getting through this.
More resistance.
Yeah, there's no way I'm getting through that with that force in there. Oh no, and then I immediately fall in the hole.
Yeah, because the
that's
force
so cool.
And then you were pushing too hard. It's just very well executed. Props to Zach for that. He really did a great job on it.
That is very, very clever. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, got our nice little. I like that. Nicely organised with a little.
It is nicely organised, isn't it?
A little my blocks.
Time to
I respect
change the speed, direction. It's all labelled beautifully. Yeah. We like that.
No, that's really good. There was a brilliant hack that I remember doing with Freddie on this one, which I want to show you now. This is my blank one, isn't it? Yes. It is a time rewind mechanic.
Okay, I'm in. Time rewind.
A time rewind time? Well, I was thinking if we start rewind time, it just makes me think of YouTube.
Yeah.
Rewind.
Let's not think about YouTube. No, let's have a look. So, is this like
Uh,
in a game? I don't know if anyone's probably not played Super Meat Boy. I don't know. Like a
oh
game
yeah.
where it rewinds the positions you were in to see like
Mhm.
where you've been, where you were unsuccessful,
Yeah. So if
or
you
where you
go
were
like
successful before you lost horribly.
exactly, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to
How
think of
about
some good rewind, like rewind mechanics in
sure
games.
there's Spelunky? Does that have a rewind mechanic? That was a whole time manipulation game though. I don't think that really
There have
counts.
been a lot of games in
Yeah.
the last year which have done like time loops, but obviously that's a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
Time.
It's a really cool feature anyway, and I know if you say to someone, "Oh, why don't you do a time rewind mechanic in your game?" A lot of people would be sat there thinking, "Time rewinding? How on earth would I go about starting that?" So how about you show us, Tom? How would you go about starting something like that?
It is a lot easier than you think. Okay, I promise. I can assure you, it is easier than you think. Okay.
I'm watching.
We're gonna need some lists, right? Which
Yeah.
already is I'm probably now going against what I just said. I said it's going to be easier than you think, and then I'm using lists. But lists aren't as scary as people might think they are, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have a list of where we were on our X position, so our horizontal position, and we're going to have a list of where we were on our Y position as well, so our vertical, our up and down position, right?
We have a list of all those positions. We're halfway there to knowing where we've been.
Exactly. And then what we're going to do is we're going to record all the places we were at. As I said, we were going to call, I don't know, let's the last 100 or so places. So somewhere just over 3 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
Roughly, more or less. And let's see. So we're going to do we're going to add our X position.
Yeah.
To X pos. Right?
Makes sense.
And then we're going to check. Now, when we add, it's going to add it to the end of the list, right?
Yeah.
So, we're going to say if the length of XPOS is more than 99, so it's at 100.
So that's not the length of the position, that's the length of the list. How many items are in the list? How many positions? Gotcha.
We're going to delete the first one in the list, right? So, I'll go back over that. So we're going to add our position to the end of the list, right?
Yeah.
If that has made our list go over 99, so get to 100, we're going to delete the first one in the list, because that is the furthest back position we were at.
So we're deleting the old ones then. Gotcha. Yeah.
This is, the technical term for this is a queue, first in, first out.
Yeah.
In the deletion process, but actually, in the deletion process it is, but in the uses process it's a stack, because then it's first in, first out. Sorry, last in, first out. Which way around? There we go. I said it the right way around.
A great little example of something in Scratch, which is entirely applicable to, college level, university level, working world.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. It is, exactly. It's used in all sorts of programming. Who says Scratch needs to be easy? And then I'm going to run that in here after we've done all our X movement, so we know our proper. I'm going to do that at the end of our X movement process, so we know exactly where we are, not where.
The new position, then store it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm just going to duplicate this and make a few changes to sort it out for our Y position as well. So I'm going to swap out X pos for Y pos in all of these. Here we go. So we've recorded. Let's bring up our lists. We can see we're recording all of our positions. That's all correct, I believe. So let's bring up a list. Just do some debugging before we start building the actual rewind mechanic.
Smart.
Always test at sort of like key junctures in your code. Test at certain points. Don't build the whole thing and then test. I fall foul to this still, but try and test as often as possible, because then you know what addition is going to be the problematic one.
You haven't got too many things it could have been.
Exactly. So there we go. We've got our list of positions. Look at that. And there you go. You can see it's updating.
Every time you move, it's adding new positions in.
And it's staying at the length we want it to be. Perfect. Look at that. Cool.
Yeah.
So we know that's
So
working.
we know everywhere we've been, but at the moment we just know it in numbers, in positions.
Exactly. We do. So now let's build the rewind mechanic to get back to where we've come from. And I'm gonna add into our inputs, right? So we've got our normal left, right, up, down movement. Going to add into that little section. We'll just keep all our code organized. Beyond that, there's no specific reason it's going here. It's just so it's organized. I'm gonna do when R is pressed, because R is for rewind.
Makes sense.
And then
I often find as well, if you want a really complicated thing to trigger something else, it helps just to put it on a button first, so you can test the behavior with like just spacebar or X or some random key on your keyboard, and then later on, if it's only supposed to happen when you get an item or something like that, you can do that like part 2.
The other reason I'm doing it as an if key pressing is because it's in the same loop as our movement. So if we did that separately as an event, we'd be actually tracking, we'd be adding to our list.
It'd be changing
whilst we're reversing, so it'd cause problems. We need to make sure we're not adding to our list whilst we're rewinding. We're either adding or we're removing, or we are rewinding. She sells seashells.
Good point, Tom. No, we like that. Very good point.
So now we know that X and Y should be the same length, so it doesn't matter whether I do length of X or length of Y. Because they are the same length of list.
So are we repeating to go through the list, since we're repeating for the length of the list? Gotcha. Makes sense.
So we're going to repeat 99 times. Is essentially what it is.
And that's great. Using that block is great, because if you put 99 in there, it might work as well. But then later on, if you decide you want the rewind time to be longer, like 150, you've got to change that 2 places. So we like to use the round variable blocks or the list blocks wherever possible.
Or if you have a quick look here, in the first few seconds of our level, it's not always going to be 99 if your level is blank. The other thing I should do.
Excellent point, yeah.
Just as a little organisational tidbit, that's just reminded me.
Oh yeah, let's not forget to clear it out when we restart the game.
Yep, when our level starts, we should have an empty list. Always set your variables. Lists included.
Otherwise, at the start, you could rewind to the positions where you were just about to die last time. Oh, wild! Many ideas there. There could be a whole game mechanic in there in itself.
Now we are definitely going into time loop game territory. Yeah. Like we were accidentally making there were multiple games like that last year.
Yeah. So we're going to repeat through all the positions in our list when we press R.
I promise.
And what would you do with them?
I promise this line of code is not as scary as you might think.
Okay. I'm ready.
So, item number or length. Oh, lost my code. There we go.
Could you zoom in on this one a bit for me?
I can. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Just to make it slightly easier to read. That's where it's gone there. Going to make it slightly easier to read. Set X and set Y. There we go. Okay.
Perfect. This is a great alternative.
There we go. And then, okay, I'll explain this bit and then I'll show you the last little bit we need to do. So, we start at 99. And what we do is we say, well, item 99 on our list, which is our most recently added. Remember that the last in our list is the most recently added thing.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to that number. And then we'll do the same for Y. So we'll go back to the most recently added place in our list, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, to then knock ourselves back down again to then 98. And then 97, etc., etc. What we're going to do...
thus rewinding, as per the original request, is
we're going to delete the last item in our list as well. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last added thing, which is our most recent position, and then delete that position, and then go to the most recent, delete, most recent, delete, most recent, delete, and do it 99 times, because this, once we're inside this loop, that has locked itself to be 99.
That is really valuable information, Tom. So we can change the thing we put into the repeat once we're in there, and it will still be working with that original value.
Changing the length of it inside here does not make that a smaller number, so we still go through our list 99 times, bumping off each item at the end, drawing it out, using it, bumping it off, drawing it out, using it, getting rid of it from the list, so we can make our way through the whole list. And that you actually don't need to make a variable to get this working. This is like a lot of the time you might use a variable to iterate through the list, but this is a nifty little way to get around doing that.
I love it. I'm gonna have a go at that myself, Tom. I didn't know that. That's brilliant.
Indeed.
I can spot one perhaps issue we might have. We'll see.
Have I missed something?
I'm wondering if we might need a little pause in there to give the player a chance to see the rewind effect. Because at the moment, there's no wait or anything. Is it not going to happen super fast at computer processing speed?
No, because it's not running without screen refresh. It should be okay. Let's check it. I think it's okay.
Yes, let's check.
I believe it's okay. Right, so we're moving down there, and then I press R.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, no, there you go. Oh! Okay, the perfect crime. Oh, yeah, try a funkier bend. Ah! I love it.
There we go.
Awesome. Now you just need a little sound effect. Maybe viewers at home can think of a good one. Like do they still use like rewinding tape sound effects, even though no one's seen a VCR for a few years?
Sure,
Maybe.
probably.
Yeah, sure, why not?
That would make most sense to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you would use anymore. Netflix doesn't have a rewind sound. Maybe it should.
It should. You could
Awesome.
you could do a thing as well, like when you press the R, you could send out a broadcast to a sprite which does like a rewind animation. So maybe it's got like 2 arrows going in like
you can
that
maybe
direction.
Make your sprite kind of like a ghost effect.
Yeah,
or like leave a little trail, or you've got some lovely
wiggly lines.
Like projects for leaving a little trail behind. So maybe you could have it just do that when you're rewinding. That would look pretty cool. I want to see that. But that might have to wait for another day.
I will do this as a little. Maybe I'll add this in as another little project at some point.
Oh yes,
talking about other ones.
That's a good plan. Do that. Okay.
Cool. Okie dokie.
Thank you very much, Freddie, for that request. That's a very cool feature, and I learned some new stuff. So much appreciated.
One last thing before we go.
Yeah.
I'll give you a sneak peek of the challenge. Skyrise BD. Ellie came up with the name this week. I was stumped for a name. Brilliant name suggestion.
Love it.
It's a classic infinite runner game with. I personally really like the setting of like rooftops and stuff like that.
It's always good. I agree. I like it too.
We've got the girders and the sky.
Some birds. We don't get a lot of birds in, and coins, which you just have so much potential. When you start adding in things to collect, it raises so many questions for me. Like, well, is it just for score, or can you buy stuff? There's a lot you can do with that.
One thing I was thinking is a cloud animation. There was a cloud animation project a week or so ago, I seem to remember. You could add in clouds into the background, more clouds, things like that, more like background images.
And moving levels of background would be like almost like a parallax scrolling kind of Sonic thing. Oh, that would look so cool. Yes.
And I always have one simple question with any infinite runner. Why are you running? Like, what are you running from? Like, you need to add that as an animation. That's like every infinite runner, like Temple Run, it's like you're being chased by those weird monkey things, right?
Yeah.
In Subway Surfer, you're being chased by the I was about to say traffic warden. I meant railway guard.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah, he would be the enemy of the subway.
Yeah. So there's always a reason to be running. Yeah. So add that in. That is my challenge to everybody.
Let's see what you guys fancy running to
Indeed.
or from.
Indeed. Well, awesome. Thank you very much for joining me, Holly.
Thank you, Tom.
And I will see you.
It's been a pleasure as always. And
Indeed.
I'll see you again next week.
Yes. Toodaloo.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.